So today's session, we're going to be focused a lot on how to have smarter collaboration with your consultants and what are some of the AI-powered automations that we want to bring to you within Monograph. I have Sam and Pete who are here from our product team. It's going to be a combination of going over these consultant workflows that are really new. There are going to be some live demos, so we'll be switching our screens back and forth. And then anytime that you have a question throughout the session, feel free to drop it into the Q&A. We will have a time at the end that's allocated to questions. I'll be moderating that and giving Sam and Pete some questions on your behalf. All right. And as always, if you are on this webinar, it means you are a customer of Monograph. We are so happy to have you here. We try our best to keep you up to date on our changes. As you know, we love to release things frequently. There are 3 ways that I always recommend everyone stay in touch. The first one is, of course, our webinars. We are trying to do these monthly, so look out for those invitations to your inbox, or we'll have the banner up in the app when you log in. That's usually the easiest place for everyone to see it. We also send out quarterly emails that come from Robert. This is an update on everything we've done on the product, what our themes are, transparency on what we're working, previews of what's coming next. So it's a long email, but it's really meaty and it has a ton of information. It just went out this Monday. We sent it out. So look out for that. It's about every quarter that we send it. And then the other fastest, most instantaneous way to stay abreast of everything that's happening is within the app. Whenever you log in at the navigation, there's this little gift, kind of a joke, a little gift from us to you. It will have a little red circle on the corner. That means that there's an update. When you click on that, it's going to show you just like what our latest updates are. And if you click on see all changes, that's going to take you to our change log. This will have all the information on what's new. It will link you to our help articles. So again, this is a great spot for you to stay always not only just in touch with us and give us feedback, but also see what is new. And then my last announcement, just for those who joined late, I see we had a big group of folks that joined late. And before I turn it over to Pete, we are going to be at AIA. Last year we were there. We had a booth. It was fantastic. We got to meet a ton of you. Would love to meet a ton of you again this year. If you are there, leave us a comment, use the QA to let us know that you'll be there or that you're thinking about going, so we can look forward to seeing you around our booth, hopefully. All right. And without further ado, I am turning it over to Pete. I will be, let me know whenever you want me to start with your slides.
Hey everyone, first thanks for joining. Excited that we get to share so much work we've been hard at for the last 3-4 months with you all today. I'm going to start with some explanation and demonstration of what we've been working on around collaboration with your consultants. Next slide, if you would, Eileen, for a quick overview. So we know the architect's business. We've been at it for more than 6 years now. A lot of our founders are from architectural backgrounds, so we know the architect's business, and therefore we know you all spend a lot of your time working with consultants. You are what I think of as the quarterbacks of a lot of these projects in our built world, but you also rely on a team of consultants, MEP consultants, civil engineers, structural engineers, et cetera, to get those jobs done. We have been investing in and will continue to be investing in improving how efficiently you collaborate with those consultants through the Monograph platform. There's 3 kind of value propositions or points of collaboration I'm going to walk you all through today. One is we're going to be streamlining your consultant bill management. You're no longer going to have to worry about losing bills in your inbox. You're also going to have a nice review and accept flow for those inbound bills from your consultants. 2 is we're going to give you an ability to share a simplified Gantt chart with your consultants so they can see your phase timelines, your milestones, and get real-time updates automatically to changes of any of those important dates in their inbox. Third, last but not least, deliverables. We know you can't get your jobs done without relying on consultants to deliver deliverables and perform tasks for you. So I'm going to show you how you and your consultants can collaborate around deliverables. Most importantly, I think, for those who are financially sometimes constrained and concerned, is that this is free for consultants. So this isn't going to cost you anything to enable these collaboration features with your consultants. It's also not going to cost your consultants anything either. So let's dive into the demo.
All right, perfect. So I'll stop sharing here, and Pete, I'll let you take it away.
So get it all set. share desktop 2, and off we go. All right, folks. So I'm going to be playing two roles today. I'm going to play the role of an architect and as a consultant. I'm going to start off as an architect. So here I am in RVA architecture, right here in the consultant directory. You're going to notice some changes here. We have a banner up here explaining and giving links to learn more about these collaborative features. You can also notice over here that for all of the consultant companies that I'm working with, I can see which projects or how many projects they've been added to, how many projects they're working on, and how many of those I've invited them to. So you can see Cedar Civil here is tagged or plugged into 2 of the projects I'm working on, but I haven't invited them to any. So if I wanted to go ahead and invite them to collaborate with me on those 2 projects, I could click invite here, select all the projects that I want them to collaborate on, decide who I want the invite to go to, send the invite, and it's as simple as that. What happened on the other side, on the consultant side, is that they just got an email that says, hey, RVA Architecture wants to collaborate with you on these 2 projects. Click here to accept that. I'm not going to show you that flow. You can probably imagine what it's like. We'll get into what it looks like once you're connected and collaborating in a second. But before I do that, I want to show you a couple other points where you can invite your engineers and consultants to collaborate. So I'm going to jump over to projects. I'm going to go into this project 601 24th Street, head over to the consultant budget, aka the consultant planner, where you control the fees or set up the fees for your consultants. And you can see a couple important things here. One is that I've got some civil engineering work for $2,000, and I've already got a company from my directory called Cedar Civil assigned to do that work. I also have some interior designer work planned into this project. We see a lot of companies who put in the consultant type for a project, but fail to add the company. That's going to be one of the first things you want to do if you want to start taking advantage of these collaboration features. You need to add the consultant company. So I'm going to show you how to do that here. Click on add company, pick which company you're going to use for the interior design. I'm going to use Light Interiors. Click next, and I'll get prompted here. Do I want to invite Light Interiors to collaborate? Of course I do. Who do I want the invite to go to? David L. Go ahead and send the invite. And once again, an invite has been sent via email over to that contact at Light Interiors. They can get it. They click on a button to accept that invite. More on the consultant's experience in a second. One more thing I want to show you here before we jump over. Actually, 2 things I want to show you here. One is, if you ever want to see who's collaborating on a project or resend invites, you can jump to the project details. Scroll down a little bit. You see a list of the consultants that are participating in this project. You can see the status of their invites. But more importantly, you can see that you can resend invites here as well. What we notice in talking to our architects and their consultants is that the timeliness of the consultant bills is often a very important thing to architects. Architects take those bills and pass those on to their clients. And it's important that those architects receive those bills from their consultants on time. So what you can do here is set up a bill reminder for your consultants, so that, for example, on the 15th of every month, they get an email that says, hey, we're getting ready to bill our clients. Please send your civil engineering bill to us so we can incorporate that into our client bills. That's something you set up here as well. Last but not least is deliverables. So let me jump back to another project. Let me jump back into 601 here. And on 601, we have some deliverables. And these deliverables can be assigned to consultants. So if I had, for example, a drawing set that I need a consultant to work on for me, I could add a drawing set and pick a consultant in addition to my team members that I can assign this to. So for example, if I needed Light Interiors to do this drawing set for me, I can add them to this task or deliverable. They'll get notified, and this will actually appear, as you'll see in a second, over in the consultant's UI. So you can set up bill reminders. You can invite them and share. You can invite consultants and share your Gantt chart with them. You can also assign them to tasks. I'm going to jump now over to the consultant's experience. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can see I'm now in a different browser, by the way. This is me as Acme Industrial. That's a consultant. That's one of the consultants that RVA Architecture was working with. The invite flow that happens when I invite a consultant is something I'm not going to share with you. It goes through email. I'm not going to dive into my inbox to show you how that works. Just know that when those invites were sent by RVA, that an email went to Acme Industrial, they clicked on a link in that email that says, yes, I want to collaborate on this project. And then that project that they were invited to, in this case, 1301 Wordland, shows up in the consultant's project list. So let's dive into that. I want to share, let me get this window out of the way. I want to share what a project looks like when an architect has shared it with a consultant. Remember, this is the consultant's view. This is what the consultant sees when they signed up for that free account I mentioned earlier. This is a free account that the consultant signs up for when they accept that invite. It takes about 5 seconds to do. They just put in their email address, and all of a sudden they get this free version of Monograph that allows them to collaborate with you, the architect. Well, what do they see in the projects they've been invited to? Well, they see the Gantt, as I mentioned earlier. They can see the start date and the end dates. They also see the milestones in those projects, in those phases. They also see any tasks that have, or deliverables that have been assigned to them. So you can see in the CD phase here, they have been assigned one deliverable and they haven't completed it yet. In this case, they've been assigned 2 deliverables and they haven't completed it yet. What's important to note is that the consultant, the engineer, cannot see budget information. That is not part of what you're sharing with the consultant when you ask them to collaborate with you. So they see timelines, important things like deadlines, phase start and end dates, tasks, and milestones, but they don't see your financial information. That's important to see. That's important to know. So let me check my notes very quickly. What the consultant can do to one of these projects is they can add their own phases. So for example, if I wanted to jump into the budget for this project, I could add a phase, let's call it schematic documentation. And this is a phase that is specific to the consultant or the engineer. It could be any phase type that the engineer wants to add to this, but it might be something like some structural documentation that they need to do as a predecessor or in parallel to their design development. So that was right around May. So I'm going to open this up, set the dates for this phase to May. There, just a little bit of work there. And let's say our internal budget for this is let's say $400. Click save. And structural documentation is now a phase that's part of this project, but it's a phase that only the engineer or the consultant can see. This does not show up back over here in the architect's view of that project. This is what I think of as a phase that's specific to the engineer's work. So they can add, consultants can add, engineers can add their own phases to the projects that have been shared with them by architects. They can also add their own deliverables. So let's jump over here to deliverables. You can see some of the deliverables that have already been assigned. If I have another deliverable that I need somebody on my team to do, me as the consultant can click add deliverable here, add another deliverable, make it part of this, give it a date, assign it to somebody on my team. This is a list of people on the consultant's team. Good opportunity for me to add that consultants in this freemium free version of Monograph that they get access to for collaboration can invite their team to it for free so that that Gantt chart can be accessible to Haley, James, and Zach, and I can assign tasks to Haley, James, and Zach. So I'm going to assign this one to James. Click create, and I've got a new deliverable. So this is the freemium experience for a consultant, and this gives you a good sense of most of what they can do. But there's one more really important thing that we want to enable in terms of collaboration between consultants and architects. I mentioned it earlier. It's all around billing. So as a consultant, I often have bills that I need to send to my architect who subsequently includes those in their client invoices. Let me go back to projects. I'm going to jump into 1301 Wordland. I'm going to click on upload invoice. So I'm a consultant now. I've completed some work for the architect. I'm going to bill them for that work. I've got a PDF already created. I'm going to upload it, type in the amount due, give it a due date. I'm just going to leave it as pay when paid, put in my invoice number, 1005. Note if I need to. Click save. Consultants or engineers on this freemium tier of Monograph can set up Stripe to enable electronic payment of that. I'm not going to go through that right now. I'm going to go ahead and click skip. That bill has now been saved to my list of invoices, to the consultant's list of invoices. But more importantly, the architect would have gotten a notification in their email that there is now a new bill for them to review. So now what I'm going to do is switch hats again, back over to the architect and go to the architect's list of bills. You can see there's actually 2 bills ready for review by the architect. I click on review bills. I can see the bills that have been submitted by the consultants that I'm collaborating with. I get to accept or request changes. So in this case, let's say this is more than we agreed. I'm going to reject this one. This will generate a note that goes back to the consultant that sent me this bill so they can change this bill, lower the price or whatever it may be, change the due date, whatever objection I have, they'll get made aware of it through this statement. Jump over to the next one. This is the one that you just saw me upload from our friends over at Light Interiors or whatever consultant this was I was working with earlier. I'm going to click accept on that one. And we're done. And now that bill actually will appear here, ready to be attached to a client invoice. So that will hopefully save you a lot of time in terms of your workflow, save you from missing inboxes, more important, save you from missing invoices from your consultants, speed up the collaboration with them, get them paid faster, get you paid faster by your clients, and it's going to keep you from losing those bills from your consultants in an inbox somewhere. We're going to keep track of those all right here for you. We're going to save you from having to upload them from invoices, et cetera. So we're going to save you some time, save you the risk of things getting lost, and just streamline that whole billing process. Let me check my notes very quickly. Is there anything else I wanted to show? I think that's about it. Eileen, I'm going to kick it back over to you so you can share those slides again.
Perfect. Thanks for that demo, Pete. I'm already getting lots of questions that I'm starting to queue up for when we do the Q&A.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Back over to you.
Okay. All right.
All right, let me reiterate on the high-level collaboration points here. We're streamlining that consultant bill management. You saw that at the very end. We're going to keep you from losing those bills in your invoice. We're also going to give you an opportunity to review, accept, and or reject those consultant bills when they come in. We know sometimes those consultant bills aren't exactly what you expect them to be. We're also giving you an opportunity to share that simplified Gantt chart so that you don't have to exchange information about when phases start, stop, when they change, when milestones change, et cetera. You share that simplified Gantt chart with your consultants. They get it in their free version of Monograph. They also get automatic updates to changes to timelines and milestones. Third is those deliverables, those tasks. Obviously, you rely on your consultants to perform tasks for you. Why not allow you to create tasks and assign them to those consultants right in this collaboration area of Monograph? Remember, most of all, this is free for you, free for them, simple to invite them. Just click on those invite buttons that you're going to see all over the app.
So, all right, I think with that, oh yeah, it's one more slide about how to get started.
Yeah, I'll reiterate one more time on how to get started. The first and most important thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you have your consultant companies assigned to those consultant plans. So when you go into a project, you go under consultant fees, it's that screenshot up in the upper right. Go to that consultant plan or the consultant fees and just make sure you've assigned the consultant companies to that consultant work. You have to do that first before you can invite those consultant companies to collaborate. So that's step one. From there, you're going to see opportunities to actually send those invites in a bunch of different places throughout the app. You're going to see them in the consultant directory. That's where I started today. It's easy to make a mass invite to a consultant to get them collaborating on all the projects you're working with them on right from the consultant directory. I suggest you start there. You're also going to see opportunities to invite them from the project summary, from the project details page, even some other spots scattered throughout the app. So that's how you get started inviting your consultants to collaborate. Next slide. A little bit of a preview of what's next in this area of consultant collaboration. We're going to make it even easier for you to get those consultant bills from your consultants. Some consultants are going to continue to email those bills. We're going to make it easy for your consultants to continue emailing you those bills, but we're automatically going to take those bills out of your inbox and put them up in a Monograph for you so you don't have to download that bill as a PDF and then re-upload it to Monograph and enter some information. We're going to speed that whole process up. We're also going to make some improvements to project financials to give you a little bit more transparency on what your relationship is in terms of billing with the consultants. How much has your consultants billed you on this project? how much have you paid them, how much is overdue, etc. You can see a screenshot preview of that towards the bottom of the screen. We're going to make it even easier for you to invite your consultants to collaborate. And I can't tell you too much about this one because I'd be stealing some thunder from Sam, who's up next. But Sam's going to be talking about some exciting AI features that we're building into the product. We're also going to be leveraging some of those to improve your collaboration with your consultants even further. So on that note, Sam, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Thanks, Pete. Thank you, Pete. Thanks, Eileen, for teeing us up to get us started. And thank you to everyone who is listening along. Really appreciate y'all being here on this lovely Friday. Today, we're going to cover the other key theme that we've been working on around AI-powered automation within Monograph. Next slide, please, Eileen. Thank you. But before we get started with some of the specifics, I wanted to really get started on by giving an overview as to like what the heck AI is. I mean, it's a buzzword. It gets thrown around a lot. It, absent any context, it really doesn't mean much. So I'd like to frame everything in the context of first, what is AI and why we are approaching it in the way that we've chosen to approach it. So to like boil it down to a very simplified thing, AI technologies leverage data that's been tagged, correlated with other data, create webs of relationships between those data, and then use those relationships to create more relationships and generate information out from them. You may have seen examples of things like, scanning through text or images to find information, to rewrite text or write new text, or even create new images based on a series of prompts from words. So working with designers and builders, Monograph doesn't believe that these technologies replace.
Oh, Sam, I think you were
Oh,
muted.
sorry. Give me 1 second.
All good.
They believe that these technologies replace the power of an individual human's creativity, but we do believe that they can streamline and allow you to perform the activities that aren't critical for your day-to-day operations of your firm. So how we're using this is to apply transformations to the data that you may have to arrive at intelligent outputs, and that will allow you to help you understand your business, how it can be more successful, to take advantage of automation to remove the need for you to spend time doing things that aren't vital to your clients and business. And in short, Monograph just believes that we should enable your team to be more powerful than the numbers that you may have working for you. So everyone on your team is essentially has a series of superpowers at their disposal. Next slide, please, Eileen. Great. And so where do we get started? Well, last year we did a wide range of research with cohort of a lot of different firms, from large to small, to understand their familiarity with AI and where they're spending time on activities that really could be better spent serving their clients. So we did a lot of research, we did some surveys, we did a lot of UX testing, and we validated those concepts using that research. And to make a very long story short, project creation was where the most value could be realized. Let's face it, data entry is really no fun, and probably more important than just like the sheer mind-numbingness of data entry. We know that like in that process, there are missed opportunities where your firm can be even more impactful in its activities. So we want to use this opportunity to not only streamline your workflow, but also uncover improvements that you can take to your process. So without further ado, Eileen, next slide, we'll dive into the features that we
Demo
have
time.
at our
All right,
disposal.
please stop sharing. Over to you, Sam.
Thank you so much. All right, so let me make sure I have my right screen. All right. So the first scenario that we're going to cover here with our new AI tools is a very common scenario that we heard. This is, I got a project. I don't know what to charge for this project. This is a scenario where, a client calls you up and says, hey, I got a commercial project, so it's going to be a tower. Our construction budget's 10 million for this tower. And this one we expect to we've got a budget maybe for bit construction between I don't know. And for my ballpark, I know like okay, we can probably have a budget of our fee for between maybe 500, 750,000, and I pick my client. And then from this information, Monograph will find potentially past projects that you've worked on. If there's a template that is related to the categorization and the budget range that you've provided, we will also pull that as well. And essentially from this past project, this completed project that I have worked on in the past, we then can learn from those experiences and get better recommendations for an ideal budget. So in this case, we see that in the schematic design, we had an original budget of this. However, based on the hours that my team spent performing all the activity in the schematic design phase, I actually probably should have charged around 138,000. Like I lost money on that project now thinking back on it. And so with this tool, I can apply that recommendation, update my budget there, and then get a better sense for how that project should be priced accordingly. So this will help you essentially as a spreadsheet, and maybe I want to make some adjustments to that. Like I don't think I need to go that high. Like maybe our project architect really didn't need to spend that many hours on it, so I can bump those hours down. It will automatically update the dollar value. It's just like a big calculator to handle your pricing adjustments accordingly and provide you with a better starting point, leveraging all of that past data that you've performed on Monograph before. The next scenario that we're going to cover, going back into our projects, and just to note, these are formed as drafts. These aren't real projects yet, because again, they're just pricing. You're just trying to get information into the system about what you may charge. You can then move this project into a into a proposed project or a active project when you're ready to go. The other form of projects that we're going to cover is probably the most tedious one of all. Right now, you can either use the template if you have one created for the type of project, or you can manually create it one phase by one phase. However, this second option on the list, auto-generate project from a contract, this is one where we are able to partner with AI tools. And here we have a project that I'm pleased with. It's the Thorpe Manor. We're working on that. We've got it's a single family residence, and I don't have the name there. But after I've set up all these details, I also have a proposal that I've sent off to that client. So in this case, we have some information about the project. We have, a general fee structure along with some timelines for what we think that the project will be. We have some rates that we're going to be charging the client. And then from here, we are able to take those contracts. And with that, when you upload it, we will pass it through to our partner. We'll take some scanning. So this is sent off to an AI partner to scan through the contract, parse through it, find out any details. And when we get back our results of what we've retrieved, we'll see an information here that says to review the details. And I'm asked to confirm those. These tools are not perfect. Like I said, they rely on webs of relationships between data. It's all very abstract and it's not always correct. So we always recommend to take a quick review, but just doing a quick comparison with this contract, I see that for our schematic design, we have 11,500. It's a 3-week project. And when I go back in here, I see, oh, yep, that's 3 weeks, and that is 1,100. I have the rates of all the roles that I had listed here, and we just assign them out automatically now. There's more room for opportunity. Stay tuned for more there. But within this, I then now have streamlined, all that data entry that I would have spent probably about 15 minutes poring over the document, refreshing my memory about what it is. Whereas now I can just upload it, get all that information in there, save, and now that project is created. So with the generate the project from your proposal, contract, even any kind of text document will do the trick that has the phase information and the roles and rates. We'll get you started there. The next feature I'm going to highlight is our project team recommendation. So based on all of your projects, you know that every project has a team. Not every team is identical. Some people may have past experience working on commercial projects. Some may have experience working on residential projects. Some may be better, on one or the other, and that's typically, maybe the case for your firm, may not. And in these cases, we'll look at past experience, what projects those team members have worked on, what hours those team members have available. So in this case, Charles has been staffed for a number of hours over the lifespan of this project, and he has 645 remaining compared with his hours of work in total for the lifespan of the project. And as the principal, based on the budget, there'll only be a $250, a 70-hour load on his time. And so for this one, I can just click apply, and immediately all of these individuals will be applied to this. And if I didn't like any of them, let's say maybe Dexter was needed to be swapped out, I could do that now, in this experience, or there were those drop downs right there within the team recommendation to adjust the team member as it was. So there's multiple ways to do this, but there's a very faster way through the team recommendation with the lots of data on who might be available and who has the past experience working on these types of projects. And then the last tool that I want to highlight that really will streamline your workflow is the ability to create deliverables and milestones en masse. Pete highlighted a lot of details earlier about how your milestones and deliverables can now be shared between you and your consultant. And this is something that we're really excited about building off of as a new way for you to better share your workload and better communicate between all of the various organizations that might be on part of your firm, might be working with your firm on a given project. And so now we have the ability to generate milestones and deliverables from external file. So there's two ways to do this. I'm going to show one way just for ease of your time. There is a free-form text, which we'll use an AI tool to scan it and return back anything that it finds on milestones and deliverables based on the phases that it detects. But there's also a direct extraction from an Excel file. And so I've gone ahead and created one earlier and this is an example of what that template looks like. It has phases, milestone names, milestone descriptions, and then the dates. And then you also have that for deliverables. And here are some of the linked deliverables that I pulled in. And then I can just go in and select that file. So I'm going to go ahead and find that. And from here, the file will be scanned. And when it is ready, you'll be able to review those. You'll notice that they aren't added in until you give it the thumbs up that it is exactly what you want it to read. So here I can review it. You can make edits. So whether that's the dates that we have pulled through, you can adjust those as needed. You can make edits to the descriptions. And after you've confirmed that, you can go through here. And I notice I didn't put any assignees here in my file. However, you can do that, and those assignees will get pulled through and assigned. But from here, I want to make sure that I add those individuals, and I will save. And now when I click save here, all of those milestones and deliverables will be applied to the project en masse. And in this way, you can fill out an entire project in a lot without clicking through all of the many menus that Monograph does have to keep track of all of your projects. I'm going to leave it there for my demo, but and we're going to go back to Eileen, but thank you for your attention on that.
Awesome. All right. I love seeing all the questions come in. Let me just set up my screen so I'm able to share again. I don't know. It's a tricky thing about doing these things live. Let me switch over to our slide. Perfect.
All right. And then we have just before we conclude the presentation part of the conversation, I just want to give a quick teaser about what we have coming up next on our roadmap. This is shared between the entire product organization. So Pete, myself, Ashish, you may have heard from before, and another member of our team, Liz, who's new, are all going to be working on these along with our brilliant engineers and designers to bring these enhancements in the next few months. So first coming up, we have in-browser notifications. So this will provide the ability for you to see at a glance recent changes to your organization, the projects you're working on, things that just require your attention. You may be aware that we launched our iPhone application late last year, and we are pleased to say that we have followed up with it with an Android version that is being tested and validated now to provide those functionalities for our friends over in the Google ecosystem. In that AI world, we have a new feature that we are in the middle of determining how it should best fit into our product, but we have the concept of email ingestion. So you'll be able to forward information to Monograph for us to be able to apply, say, expenses or details like that to auto-create information into your project to cut down on that clerical activity that I mentioned that AI can be oh so powerful at delivering. The next one is invoice batching to automatically pull from your unbilled time during the service period to ensure that you just have to do less every month to create draft invoices. Won't do anything automatically for you in terms of like sending it to your clients. We want to make sure you have the ultimate control over that. That's something that we feel very strongly about. But we will make it a lot faster for you to create the first draft of all of your all of the invoices to get paid. Secondly, we know that time doesn't always correspond with what you're going to be invoicing for, and accounting for this might be a little bit tricky in the current state. So we do want to make sure that managing that unbilled time is able to be proactive so that when you do batch your invoices, it's accurate as to what you intend to bill for. So writing off time is something that we are interested in exploring and delivering in the next few months. And then lastly, as Pete was definitely teasing at the very end of his slides, the contract proposal scraping tool that you just saw me demo, it only looks at project data for your firm. We know that you work with an ecosystem of consultants, and we want to make sure they're also represented in that automation process. So we're going to be improving that to also identify consultant planning to find the consultant budgets, to find the specific types of consultants you may be working on in your proposals, and automatically filling those out within your project plan so you can hit the ground running. And as I mentioned, spend less time doing data entry and more time serving your clients.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam, for all these previews. There were several questions, like what level of permission does the consultant that you add into your project within Monograph have? Are they able to change phases or phase dates or phase budget? I think there seems to be just maybe like a little bit of a hesitation and concern that the consultant can go in there and override things.
Yeah, that definitely can happen. The phase timelines, the milestone timelines, phase budgets that the architect sets can't be touched by the consultant. The consultant gets essentially a read-only version of that Gantt chart and the milestones inside those phases. The things that can kind of be collaboratively edited are those tasks. And what I'm specifically talking about is the comments on tasks. As you all know, we have a comment thread on tasks now. You can comment back and forth with your consultants on those tasks. That's a collaborative way where you're kind of updating each other's data really. Well, you're not really, you're kind of just sharing comments back and forth. And the completion flag. So either if you create a deliverable or a task for a consultant, both the architect and the consultant has the power to mark that as complete. So in that little piece of data is shared and editable by both. But when you talk about the phases, their timelines, the milestones, their deadlines, those are only editable by the architect. Is that what you think they were asking about, Eileen?
Yes, I think that's exactly it. I think it's just making sure that there's like a hierarchy, where if you are, like the prime on a project, you are the one that like kind of owns that initial project structure. And if you invite someone, I think read only is a great way to describe it. As a consultant, you can see that information, but you're not able to overwrite that. You'd have to be a member of the like creating org and
Right.
have permission to be able to do that.
Right.
While we're on the vein of consultants, we also received quite a number of questions just to understand, is there a limit to the number of consultants that you can invite within a project or within a consultant org? So for example, you invite a consultant, can I invite both their billing admin and the principal?
Yeah, great question. I saw this one come up too. Yes, you can, but I'm going to recommend against that. The way I'd rather see that work is that the architect or the prime invites one person at the consultancy. That one person accepts, and then that one person, let's say I invited Eileen because she's great at interior design. You should see her place. It's great. She's got that background hiding it, but it's a great background back there behind that fake screen. Let's say I invite Eileen to do some interior design for me. I can send that directly to Eileen. Eileen can then, in her free version of Monograph, add her entire team and control which projects her team has and doesn't have access to. So she could have 3 people working for her, somebody in billing who uploads the bills, some of her designers who do the tasks that I've assigned to her, etc. So I'd rather see the architect invite one person at the consultancy, that one person accepts, and then that one person also adds other team members to their free version of Monograph. That's probably the best way to make that flow, Eileen.
Okay, perfect. I think that helps answer. There were several questions around that. All right, Pete, I'm going to give you a break. I have some questions for you, Sam, as well. So this one that just came in is from Megan. It says, I love the idea of Monograph email plugin that can pull expenses and bills directly into a project, loading as an expense. Is this what you mean by email ingestion?
Yeah, exactly. And we're still exploring the technical capabilities of this, so I don't have any firm kind of uh, solution set there about like how it's going to exactly work. We're still in the early phases of this project, but yeah, that's exactly it. To streamline your flow, forward a receipt and give it some information, and we will do our best to accept it.
Awesome. There were also, when we look at the AI work, there were a few questions around format. I think one, Sam, that you tagged here that you were interested in answering. Thank you, Francesca, for asking this. So she wrote, is the suggestion that Excel with deliverables be the typical deliverables of the firm and then modified for that specific project?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to answer this. Part of the reason for these tools is really to create external assets from Monograph that work best for your organization. So if you're frequently doing the same exact, very similar deliverables across all of your projects, it might make sense to have a master file with all the deliverables that you can add and delete as needed. But if your organization is one where we do things pretty widely pretty varied depending on who the client is and their level of service that we want to provide for them. It might make sense to not have kind of a templated template, if you will, like a pre-filled template for every project, because you might spend more time editing that in order to do what you need to do. So really the goal of these features is to allow you to do things outside of Monograph and then push them into Monograph. But the things that you do outside of Monograph are in the processes that work best for you and your organization.
So Sam, I think if I understand correctly, what you're suggesting is like there probably is a template that you reuse frequently, but it's the majority of the time, and there are going to be exceptions to when it's a specific project, maybe it's a new typology that you're working on, and it will require some modifications to make it fit for that project.
Yeah, absolutely. So you might have 3 or 4 different copies of this template with different lists of deliverables and milestones on them, and you use the one which is best with obviously some adjustments to dates, etc. But yeah, exactly. You can
Okay.
be flexible with it.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of format, this is a great question too. So I think everyone saw you share this great template for the, like the budget generator using that proposal. And so do proposals have to be in a very specific format, like the one that you showed, or kind of like, how different can they be?
Yeah, this is also a great question because AI is fallible. It is not the more structured you provide the data to it, the more likely it is to get the right results. So the example that I provided earlier has some of the key information that we're looking for, and that key information is like what are the phases, what is the budget for those phases? Is it fixed or hourly? Though largely we will pull from your template, your phase defaults. And then ideally we'll include some estimate on phase length. Otherwise, we'll just pick a month, which is our default length. And with that, we can construct it. Now, if you want to pull in roles and rates, got to put those in there also. But the more clearly outlined those are, and the more limited the data is, like the more if you put in every role and rate for all of your consultants as well as your firm, we're going to try to pull those as well. It's not, it's a machine. It's not totally, it doesn't quite know nuance as well as a human could. And so with that, simpler is better. Being as explicit about the key details, and again, those key details are phases, phase length, phase budget, and then the roles and rates. Will really help us drive it. But the example that I showed was drafted with those objectives in mind. But you can imagine that there's a wide range of things. But outlines, bullet points of those key information is usually the best way to get it to convey those information.
That's great. Yeah, and sometimes contracts just tend to be very long by the nature of them. They are legal documents. And so this is a situation where you can take that PDF, you can exclude any of those extra pages, like Sam said, that might have too much detail, and just include, usually it's like the first like 4 or 5 pages are the ones all the meat is, and everything else is like the legalese. So that's another way too that you can simplify the content without having to do any like manual data entry. So. Pete, over to you. There were several questions about this as well. I love that the consultants had so many similar themes with questions. So one was, are there, in this process of testing and research that you've done, do you have, I think it's a combination of both advice, or do you have, any information that gets sent out to the consultant to kind of inform them what the best practice for collaborating within Monograph is? Maybe it's in that email that gets sent out. I think there were several folks in the chat who are thinking about how do I make sure that they join and they know what's expected of them and the way that I
Yeah,
want them
great
to use
question.
it. Yeah.
That's a great question. Yes, the short answer is, Eileen, you mentioned the email that goes out. In the email that goes out, that is the invite for that consultant to accept and start collaboration. There is a video embedded in that is a 2-minute overview of using Monograph in a collaborative nature with an architect. So there's a nice little video there that explains what they can do in this the freemium version of Monograph. I think we'll be enhancing the availability of other things as well, like our help system and YouTube videos, et cetera, as time progresses to make that more and more clear and give those consultants more and more of a smooth landing in the product. So look for some changes on that. But the short answer is yes, there's a video in that invite that tells the consultant, explains to the consultant what Monograph is and how they can start collaborating on it.
Perfect. And we do have content like this, like for example, like for our payments feature, we do have like a PDF that we have on our knowledge base that we allow you to, share with your clients as well. And as Pete mentioned, part of what we do is when we release something, we collect feedback from you. Like we use those support questions that you send in, your questions here, and that helps us to inform and modify that content. So I'm sure over time we will have more and more. If as you're working with this feature, you see like, hey, like it really helps when I tell my consultant this, and it's something different than what we have within our email or our content, please send us a message. We're happy to take your feedback and enrich it into the process. We're happy to help you make this process as seamless as possible. So, Pete, another question. This is from Anonymous. So they are using QBO. And so their question is about like that workflow. So it says, if we are using QBO, do we continue to add the consultants in QBO and import into Monograph and then send an invite? Or would we add the consultant in Monograph and then export to QBO? So like, does this consultant, like process change how they should be working within QBO and Monograph?
No, it doesn't affect QBO. The part of the QBO integration that we have between consultant companies and vendors in QBO, it's bidirectional. You can bring vendors in from QBO to Monograph. You can send consultants from Monograph to QBO. Doesn't matter which way you choose to do that. They just need to be in Monograph first so that you can then assign them to the plan for a project. So then you can invite them. So it doesn't matter how they get into the consultant directory in Monograph, whether they're there before they go to QBO or they come from QBO. They just have to be there so you can assign them to a project and then invite them to collaborate.
So, okay, there, I think it's 1:58 on my time on the East Coast. So I'm scanning just to see any more questions that we got at the end. Pete, Sam, if you got a question that you thought was particularly interesting and you want to use that, let me know. Otherwise, I will pick. Actually, this is a good question. It's on the topic of how to invite.
Yeah.
So the question is how, so they are the consultant within Monograph. So they are a consultant that use Monograph. And so
Yeah.
their ask is like, I actually need to invite the architect
Love
into
it.
Monograph. Like,
Yeah.
what's your suggestion there for like that relationship?
Yeah. Thank you to whoever asked this question because it actually reminded me to tell everyone first that this whole architect consultant collaboration connection that we've launched and we will be building upon isn't just for collaboration between a subscribed architect and a new free consultant. We have 100 plus firms that are subscribed to Monograph that are engineers already. So and we know that some of you are working together. Some of the architects out there are already that are Monograph subscribers are already working with some of the consultants or engineers that are Monograph subscribers. They're going to be able to connect and use these collaboration features as well. So it's not just about new consultants. For this question in particular, if the engineer is the prime who sets the schedule, the Gantt, the milestones, then yes, I would recommend that they invite the architect if the architect is truly a consultant on the project. So the roles can be reversed. What we don't support yet, but we'll keep a close eye on, is you can't invite in the other direction, meaning if Eileen in her lighting company is a sub to me, the architect, on a project, she can't invite me to collaborate yet. I have to invite her. So if you have that situation, what I recommend is, in this case, Eileen, just shoot me an email that says, hey, Pete, I'm using Monograph also. Can you invite me so we can collaborate on this project? We're working together in Monograph. And then I would click the invite button. Eileen would get the invite and we'd be collaborating.
I'm just going to chime in to say, like, but though if I'm an engineer using Monograph and my architect's also using Monograph, I will also have shared projects with the collaboration tool. Is that right?
Yes.
So if you're invited to collaborate on a project and you're a Monograph subscriber from another Monograph subscriber, you'll have the same relationship, except you'll have all the capabilities of Monograph on that shared project.
That's right. For example, instead of if Eileen, the consultant interior designer in this fictitious story, has an invoice that she needs to create and she's a subscriber, she doesn't just upload a PDF. She uses the Monograph invoice builder to build a beautiful Monograph invoice, and that automatically appears in my list of bills when she opens that invoice. So the subscriber to subscriber collaboration experience is even better. We just want you all we want you all, architects and primes, to be able to collaborate with people who aren't yet Monograph subscribers. So we created this freemium version that allows them to do a limited version of what Monograph can do in these collaboration features I've talked about.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. We are just a little bit over time. I appreciate everyone that has stayed with us for the entire hour. There were several questions left unanswered. Just there's only so much time. Usually what we do with these questions is I take them and I redistribute them throughout our support knowledge base. That way, if it's something about, how to do something, it strengthens our documentation. But the recording will be sent out, as I mentioned earlier, and we will have another webinar in May. The topic has not yet been determined, but look out for those banners sending you an invite to join us. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend and a great rest of your Friday. Bye.
Yep.